Alright, hello again. Right now we're going to put together the turret blueprint and get it to aim at the player and follow the player around. So let's get started. First, go in your content browser, right click, go to blueprint class, and you want it to be an actor. An actor is an object that can be placed or spawned in the world. And we'll name this gun_turret. Okay, double click that. Okay, so we're starting off in the viewport here. So the first object you want is just a scene component. Pop that on there, just so we can modify the static meshes when we add them in. So just a basic scene component. Then add another component, and this one would be of type static mesh. Turret_base. And then if you go over here, static mesh, go through here, turret base mesh. That's the one we want. Okay. So add another one. Turret gun. Do the same exact thing. Turret gun mesh. And we want to position this right at the base there. There we go. This guy's looking a little big, but that's okay. We can scale it down later. Alright, so compile, save that. Excuse me. And come over to the event graph here. And first things first, we'll start off by creating some variables. We're going to need a few of them, so close that up for now. Add variable, and this will be of type float. And this will be the gun length. Oops. Gun length. Okay, we'll go back through after. Let's put this in vars. Okay, so we'll create another variable. I'll call this rot speed, also of type float. That guy in there. Another variable, also of type float. Go to fire rate. Drop that guy in there. Another variable, attack range. Another variable, delta time. And finally, another one. This will be of type boolean. I'll call this one enemy in range. Alright, so compile, save. Enemy in range will be set to false, so don't check this. Delta time will set in game, or I'm sorry, in the blueprint. Attack range, we'll do 8,000 for now. Fire rate, let's do 2. These, of course, we could change later. And then gun length, we'll set to 4. Alright. So let's unhide these guys. We'll grab turret gun, drag it in here, get. And then we want to get world location. That guy next to it. And then get player pawn. Set this guy over here. And get vector location. Okay, and we want to put those two together. define look at rotation. So we'll put the start at the turret gun, the target at the get player pawn, and then we want to right click, split construct pin. So we have the pitch, yaw, and the roll. Actually, you know what? We'll do it this way just because. Break rot, just so it's a separate node. I like doing this better. Okay, and then for yaw, make rot. And disconnect this, make sure yaw is going into the yaw. Do a bit of space in between them. Alright, now we want to grab turret gun again. Get. Get world rotation. Okay, current. That one up here. We want to grab our delta time, plug it right into there, and then the interp speed will be the rotation speed. Plug that right into there. And then we want to set world rotation. And then return value is new rotation. Okay, so for us to do this, we want to create a custom event. So right click, custom event. We'll call this one update rot. Go over and click there. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to be able to call this event. And because we're updating the rotation based on where the player is, we want this to be called a lot. So it's constantly going through and checking it, almost like, you know, an infinite loop kind of deal. So we want an event tick. Basically what this is doing is going through every second, constantly updating. Excuse me. And then set delta time, because we want this delta time to be based on those delta seconds. That way it's constantly updating. And then, last but not least, we want to update right there. Compile, save, and let's test it out, shall we? Minimize all these. New editor. Oh, ha! I need to bring it into the level first. Brilliant. Oh yeah, he's big. But I'll scale him down right in the engine real quick first, just for testing purposes. And see, we actually have an issue here where it is following me, but it's offset. It's not. As you can see, the side of the gun is following me for some reason. And let's find out why that is, yeah? Well, let's see. What side is following me? Okay. So looking at it, the guns are on the right. Okay. Let's open this guy back up, go to viewport. So it's going along the x-axis. Let's see if that solves our problem, yeah. No, because it's still going along that x-axis. Okay, so what axis do we want it to follow? Want it to follow the y-axis. Interesting. Okay, so what we want to do here, go back into Maya, and we want the front of these to be the x-axis. So -90. Modify freeze transformations. Edit. Delete by type history. Now the x-axis is there. File. Export selection. Turret gun mesh. Export selection. Yes. And go into gun turret. Actually, no. Excuse me. We'll go into content browser. Right click on gun mesh. Re-import. Save all just in case. May take a second. There we go. Now let's test it out. There, and that solved our issue. If I can make it up the stairs. We will now set it up so it can look up or down at us if it needs to. Okay, so go back into gun turret blueprint, go to event graph, and what we'll do is we'll go down to pitch here. And what we want to do is we want to subtract a float minus a float. And what we need to do is take into consideration the length of the gun. Now this is obviously going to be different for everybody. You're going to need to play with this variable here so it looks right with the length of your gun, because the projectiles aren't going to be coming out until the end, obviously. So you want to take that into consideration when it's rotating. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to clamp the angle, plug this guy right into pitch, and then the minimum and the max is entirely up to you. I'm going to do -10 and 35. File, save, and we'll test it out. And see, he's looking up at me, but he rotated, he's going down, go over here, and it's working pretty good. Alright, so in the next tutorial we're going to go through and talk about actually getting him to fire the projectiles. Alright, thanks.